Mike, the town's biggest taxpayer, Emerald Square Mall, is in the news, but it's not the owners of the mall. It's the town and the potential of what could be and what was one of the anchor stores.
Yeah, there's a discussion right now between a developer and Sears to bring in apartments at the mall location. And we're looking to invest in the mall and understand what the potential and the capabilities of being able to do, a residence and create that work, live, play model there in that part of town. So we're excited about it. It's just starting to happen now. It's been a result of all the hard work from the planning department, economic development, and our interest in making sure that the mall still remains viable.
Nothing is ever easy in government. Zoning, is that property zoned for that? Would that need to be changed? The utilities going down to the mall, is it set up for that?
Yeah, so great question. So if you'll recall, we introduced a request for the town to update some zoning and establish mixed-use zoning bylaws. Currently, the mall is not zoned to allow mixed use, but it is the area in town that we were looking at dropping the mixed-use overlay on. We have our vendor, Stantec, working on developing that mixed use, and we're going to bring that before the planning board and the town council to get their support for it. But they've signaled their interest and intent in the past because we see this as a very positive way. So the zoning looks like it'll happen, and we'll be able to bring that about. The utilities, another discussion. That's the due diligence we have to do on our part to make sure that if we were to build some apartments down in that part of town, that they'd have all the utility support. We're looking at the electricity, the water, and the sewer, and we know that sewer is probably one of the issues that we've got to address and look at. When the mall was built years ago, it came with the agreement that the mall would own the sewer pump that's down there, and it's been problematic of late, but we've been working with the maintenance company that's responsible for that to make sure that that's taken care of. We're going to meet with the Public Works team. We're going to meet with the planning team. We're going to meet with NAED, and we're going to just kind of map out what all the utilities look like, what issues there might be, and what the conditions of success look like to be able to bring this about.
All of this, of course, depends on the developer and Sears agreeing to terms. Best case scenario, if everything fell into place, two-part question. First part, what type of housing would it be? Would there be any affordable housing? And number two, how soon might we see a shovel hit the ground?
Yeah, so let's start with the timeline, right? I think the timeline has a couple of things that are in the works already. So like the mixed-use zoning would be a part of that. That's probably a good 6 to 9 months for that to flush out and be settled on. With a developer that's got the right motivation and the right contracts and capabilities in play, not taking into account all the logistics aspects of the way the markets are today. Interest rates are going to probably factor into this in another way in the availability of funds. I would say optimistically, shovel in ground, if everything went according and right on schedule, it'll probably be 2.5 to 3 years. With that, right, there's still a lot of stuff that has to be done to make sure that it gets down. If there's a utility impact, right, we would want to potentially understand what the that total impact would be, what we would have to do on the town side. So I'd lean on Public Works for understanding what that means and what we can and can't do in that. So that's going to impact the timeline as well.
And are these high-end apartments, condos, apartments? Would there be any 40R?
So I've always been a proponent of asking the developers when they come in what their capacity and appetite to look at affordable housing, and I've done the same here. The initial proposal, did come back as market rate apartments, but I said, look, it's beneficial to the town. This is an area that has a very high cost of living. The prices of homes have gone up here recently, and we want to have a housing solution that applies to all the residents, and all the people that can work here in North Attleboro. So nothing's settled on it yet. We're having discussions. We're interested in an affordable component, right? We've asked them to go back and do the math on that and see if that's something that they would consider. And so the talks will continue from there.